Reading+System+Entertainment Cute Treasures, Yan Yueqing wore a book and became an 18-thread cannon fodder in a doll's ensemble. The female protagonist caused a stir with her children, while the cannon fodder caused countless online riots with her licking dog persona. After the cannon fodder jumped into the sea and committed suicide, the female protagonist not only lived in her room and spent her money, but also relied on her child to make a comeback. Yan Yueqing. Thank you for inviting me. Take care of your own son. The female protagonist is beautiful alone, don't get involved with me. Is licking dog persona correct? System. Send you 50 billion startup gold, slowly lick it. Internet bullying, right. After the broadcast of Wa Zong, fans all over the internet shouted, "Mom." In the luxurious villa, Xiao Bingkuai looked at Yan Yueqing, who was on fire during the live broadcast, and said coldly, "Dad, from now on, my mom's standards will follow this." A certain business tycoon suppressed his smile and said, "That's your biological mother." Little ice face. Keywords of the novel. Malicious female supporting characters in the children's variety show are posted in reverse by children without pop-ups. Malicious female supporting characters in the children's variety show are posted in reverse by children. Download the complete set of TXT. Malicious female supporting characters in the children's variety show are posted in reverse by children. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Opening 50 billion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Opening 50 billion, don't waste your efforts, my dad doesn't even care about you. The little girl's beautiful eyes were filled with disgust. As the only daughter of Tang Dao, Tang has been favored by various people in the entertainment industry since childhood, but it is still the first time she has seen someone like Yan Yueqing, a reckless licking dog. I said the fruit looks good, so you deliberately climbed the tree and pretended to be unconscious. You want to trick my dad into coming to see you. Dream it. On the grass, Yan Yueqing, who had just woken up, looked bewildered. The pain and madness of the body flood into the memory of the brain, reminding everyone of it. She's wearing a book. Wearing it in a novel called I Rely on Children to Make It Popular all over the internet. The female lead Qin Yuran rose to fame with her gentle performance in the live broadcast variety show. And Yan Yueqing, on the other hand, is one of the negative teaching materials. Qin Yuran is giving gifts to the children while she is licking Tang candy. Qin Yuran is assisting Menghua with the task, and she is licking Tang. Qin Yuran unintentionally revealed her tragic childhood, as she was still licking Tang candy. According to the plot, the two finally got together in this episode. When completing the mountain climbing task, Tang casually said, "The fruit looks good." She immediately climbed the tree to pick the fruit, but accidentally slipped and fell unconscious. After being taken to the hospital, she seduced Tang, who came to visit her, on the hospital bed, and was photographed by her assistant. This incident was exposed, and fans were completely angry. They set fire to dig her bottom, but to their surprise, they dug up a big melon. Yan Yueqing has a 5-year-old illegitimate child. So, the previous series of actions. Was she looking for the receiver? For green tea prostitutes, netizens no longer need to endure, they are crazily exporting from the internet to reality. She failed to withstand the cyberbullying and soon jumped into the sea to commit suicide. And that illegitimate child was openly adopted by Qin Yuran. Sick and stunning children often attract the attention and sympathy of countless people. Qin Yuran unexpectedly became popular by filming a vlog where the two of them were together. Not only has it attracted countless advertising endorsements, but it has also been shouted, "Sweetheart Mom," by many netizens. A year later, a giant came knocking on his door and said that the child was his own flesh and blood left behind. So, just like many CEOs, Qin Yuran, with this child, contracted to marry a giant and slowly ignited the spark of love, walking all the way to the pinnacle of life. At that time, book fans were all praising Qin Yuran for how good she was. Only she commented, after Yan Yueqing's death, Qin Yuran relied on her child to pick up leaks and make a comeback. Being managed and banned for seconds. Now even more so she dressed directly as Yan Yueqing herself. Are you still wearing it to the point where she fell unconscious? Before the memory could be fully organized, there was a sudden ding sound in my mind. Congratulations to the host for awakening and obtaining the cute baby development system. As the mechanical voice fell, a virtual interface instantly popped up in front of her. Name: Yan Yueqing, Cultivation Fund Balance 50 billion yuan. Enhancement point 0. Yan Yueqing was stunned. 50 billion. Nurturing gold. Wearing books is already divine enough. Now even the system is here. The remaining amount of cultivation funds refers to the amount that the host can only use for the cultivation of cute children. Whenever the host binds a cute child, all consumption on it is borne by the system, and the host's personal consumption is not within the scope of the system's responsibility. The system's mechanical tutorial states, for each cute child's preference breakthrough task completed, the system will refund 10% of the consumption of cultivation funds, which will become the host's personal property. Yan Yu cleared up and said, the meaning is, these money can only be spent on the bound child. After the task is completed, the system will convert the spent money into 10% and give it to me. For example, if I spend a total of 100 yuan on the child, I will be refunded 10 yuan in the end. The system replied, yes. Is this too chicken-like? How much can a child spend? Even if you bind 10 children and buy a bunch of toys, it only costs a few hundred yuan in the end, which is not very meaningful. Yan Yueqing politely refused, can I not bind this system? System-friendly prompt. You currently have a debt of 5 million. What's that? Yan Yueqing thought she heard it wrong, I'm in debt of 5 million. As soon as I finished speaking, my mind suddenly picked the key point and a long memory of debt flooded in. Yan Yueqing quickly shook her head, as if trying to shake off this memory. Okay, others changed their fate by wearing books, but she carries a debt of 5 million yuan while wearing books. The system takes advantage of the heat and says, the host can earn an additional 5 million yuan in rewards by completing the initial task. If an intended cute child is detected, is the host bound to it? Name: Tang Tang Tang. Age: 5 years old. Favorability towards the host. 25 points. Task: bind and develop a relationship with Tang Tang. When her favorability towards the host exceeds 90 points, the task is achieved. Reward: enhancement point plus 10, returning 10% of the spent cultivation gold knock. She's already in debt of 5 million. Can there still be a choice? Yan Yueqing said, confirm the binding. System: bind with Tang 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 to establish a relationship. As the host is opening the binding service for the first time, the system will give a complimentary consumption black card. As soon as she finished speaking, her pants were slightly cold, and the card had already fallen on her. System continues. Publish initial tasks. Task time: 1 week. Task requirement: consume 10 million on Tang Tang Tang. Initial task reward: return 10% of the consumption fee and receive an additional 5 million as a reward. Your grandfather's. Is this called an initial task? What child can spend 10 million in a week? Besides, it's still someone else's child. How should she spend her money reasonably? I was planning to ask again, but the system has gone silent. Helpless, Yan Yueqing could only accept her fate and stood up from the ground. Tang Tang coldly clasped his hands and said, don't please me anymore. I hate you. My dad also hates you. Seeing Tang Tang Tang's eyes full of disgust, Yan Yueqing stopped in her tracks. To spend money on binding cute kids, you need to first increase your favorability. In her eyes, the original owner was already a crazily criticized existence. Hello little sister, I have 10 million yuan. Please work hard and spend it all within this week. That's not pure pervert. Besides, money is not as attractive to children as small red fruits on trees. After thinking, Yan Yueqing had a plan. Without saying a word, she began to roll up her sleeves and climb the tree. The audience in the live broadcast room immediately cursed upon seeing this scene. How shameless. She has fallen like that and still needs to pick fruits and lick tang 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 candy. We're saying, can we switch to someone else to lick it? Princess Tang 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 is almost being licked out of her psychological shadow. Who wants Tang 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 to have a director father? Tang has acquired 20% of the shares of Zhongxing Media, becoming her top boss. Can she not rush up and lick it? Tang Tang, the little princess, is so gentle. From being polite and restrained at the beginning to directly saying things that she dislikes, I guess I can't bear being forced. Why is this woman just like bubble gum sticking to her hair? It's disgusting, isn't it? Can we ban Yan Yueqing? Agree to ban. It's disgusting. How could the production team hire such a person? Wait and curse again. Look, Yan Yueqing climbed the tree so fast this time. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Yes, I have a son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Yes, I have a son. In the picture, Yan Yueqing uses both hands and feet, like a nimble monkey, rubbing twice before climbing up the middle section of the tree trunk. The slender hands shuttled through the shadows of leaves and sunlight, beautiful like movie scenes. After a moment, she let go and jumped down, buffering and landing like a ball. A series of smooth and flowing operations, compared to the one who just fainted, it's like a different person. Even Tang Tang, who despised her to the extreme, was caught up in this agile and beautiful action, watching her walk up to him. Spread out your hands, the red fruits in your palms are greedily tempting. Tang Tang blinked his beautiful big eyes, clearly wanting fruit, but with a stern face, he said, "What's wrong with you? You've all told me. I'm not trying to get close to your dad when I'm good to you." Yan Yueqing crouched down and spoke carefully to the little girl in front of her. "I'm just trying to be good to you." The gentleness between his eyebrows and eyes made Tang 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 momentarily mesmerized. After a moment, she bit her lip and said, "You're lying." Yan Yueqing smiled and said honestly, "I have a son who is a few months older than you and has been unable to leave the hospital due to illness. He also wants to climb trees and pick fruits, but unfortunately he can't." The audience in the live broadcast room exploded instantly. What is it? Yan Yueqing has a child. Did I eat a big melon here? Are there any artists who dare to self-destruct and have children? Is she crazy? New ways of hype. Yan Yueqing goes to great lengths for the sake of fire. This is a live reality show, and if this matter is made public, how much response will it cause? Yan Yueqing knows clearly. Yes, she has a son. A child who appears to be under treatment but is actually under house arrest and unable to leave the hospital. The family has been using their children to blackmail the original owner, forcing her to hand over every penny and even carrying a huge debt of 5 million yuan. According to the plot in the book, this big melon will soon be exposed online. Even if my appearance changed the direction of the plot, the pictures in the disclosure were taken a long time ago. Even some photos taken in the hospital are clearly from the hands of family members. It is estimated that they were already prepared and waited for the opportunity to erupt. At that time, I will be at a disadvantage again. My son is so cute, why should he hide it? Yan Yueqing naturally wants to seize the opportunity in advance by publicly announcing. Tang Tang was extremely surprised. It seems that I didn't expect Yan Yueqing to say such a thing. She has a son. Just want to be good to yourself. Not to get close to dad. Is it really fake? There are two little people in their minds, crazily arguing between believing her and not believing her. Those beautiful big eyes flickered and hesitated, causing a barrage of barrage sounds. Not good. First level alarm. The little princess is going to be fooled by Yan Yueqing. Don't listen to her nonsense, Tang Tang. Using a child's softness to gain trust. She's really disgusting, damn it, I can't stand it anymore. Where is the production team recording? I'm going to block this woman. There's not a word of truth in my mouth. Don't believe it. When Yan Yueqing first debuted, she even claimed to be the second young lady of the wealthy Yan family in Sea City. What happened? The Yan family issued a statement overnight, urging her not to climb high on herself. This woman dares to say anything for the sake of fire. Yan Yueqing handed the fruit to Tang Tang and said, "When my baby was hospitalized, I loved watching the commercials you shot the most. I heard that I would be on a program with you, and I hope to watch more of our interaction." Tang Tang bit his lip and said, "So? Are you trying to please me? Not to get close to my dad, but to fulfill my little brother's wish." Yan Yueqing nodded. It was true that her son liked Tang Tang, but the biggest reason was that he mainly made money. The script staffing arranged by the production team is too annoying, and almost no guests are willing to accept it, only the original host agrees. Tang Tang pondered for a moment before asking, "Do you really have any other ideas?" Yan Yueqing replied seriously, "Yes, he wants your signature." Tang Tang pouted and softened his heart, "Well, for the sake of my little brother's face, I won't argue with you anymore." As he spoke, his eyes unconsciously fixed on the red fruit, clearly greedy. Yan Yueqing smiled lightly and carefully peeled off the skin of the fruit for her. She handed over the snow-white flesh and said, "Try this sour and sweet one." Tang Tang took it naturally, took a bite of the plump flesh, and immediately showed a satisfied and adorable expression. "Isn't that right? Tang little princess was just bought off like this, licking other cute kids for my son just to get a Tang candy signature. Laugh to death, you wouldn't believe this setting, would you? It sounds too fake. Does she really have a son now? It's so sudden." I have to say, although Yan Yueqing is a licking dog, at least she's a youthful-looking licking dog. Indeed, she looks pretty good when she's not criticizing her crazily, she can't even be seen as a mother. Maybe there's a mother named Buff. She just fed Tang and was quite gentle. After finishing the fruit, the system prompts. Tang's favorability plus 5 points, current favorability point 20 points, the favorability of children increases whenever they say. At this speed, Yan Yueqing suddenly became full of hope for the future. The mountain climbing task is not long. After reaching the top of the mountain, you can exchange for a level to receive dinner materials in order. Yan Yueqing fell once and didn't feel any pain at first, but her head became increasingly tired as she walked. In the past, Tang, who fought bravely for the first place, would definitely complain about her dragging her feet. Today, it was probably Guizi who bribed her, and she didn't even say a word. Arriving at the destination, they were undoubtedly the last group. The other guests had already taken their cute children to rest in the pavilion, and when Yan Yueqing came up, their eyes became somewhat complicated. The children's variety show they participated in was a program strongly recommended by Zhongxing Media this year, called National Parents. Different guests are paired with different cute children, and a live PK is conducted for each episode. The national parents of the season are selected based on comprehensive factors such as guest behavior, interaction with cute children, and live popularity. Reality shows have personas, this is an open secret in the industry. In order to highlight the guests, the program team specially arranged an extremely annoying, licking dog character. Just now, Yan Yueqing, who received the establishment fee, suddenly self-proclaimed having a child. Did you wake up and want to whiten? Or is it crazy to criticize and make a big death? Such a peculiar operation has made everyone feel anxious and tender inside after receiving the money and causing trouble. The production team is also very angry. Due to the entire live broadcast, they were unable to immediately challenge Yan Yueqing, so they decided to secretly harass her. Everyone gathered, and the village chief announced that as the last group of contestants to reach the finish line, the production team will not provide any dinner materials or downhill tools. Now, not only the guests are stunned, but even the audience in the live broadcast room is also stunned. No, Yan Yueqing dragged her own leg. What's the matter with Tang Tang Princess? Program team, you're going to starve Tang Tang little princess. I'll kill her tomorrow. It's unlucky to be with Yan Yueqing. Not only did you choose the worst house, but now you can't even have dinner. Although the mountain is not high, it will take several kilometers to go up and down. I feel sorry for my little Tang Tang Candy. Qin Yuran is truly the female protagonist in the book. She immediately understood that this was an opportunity to build a good impression and squatted down to discuss with the cute children in the same group, how Tang Tang's sister doesn't have anything to eat tonight. Shall we split the ingredients for dinner between them? Li Hao blinked foolishly and said, okay. Qin Yuran led Li Hao and walked up to the camera with a gentle and generous expression, attracting the attention of the 10 people. Village chief, our group wants to give half of the ingredients to Tang Tang. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Without the power of others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Without the power of others. Qin Yuran is the dark horse of this season. The production team originally planned to praise Li Man from the same company, but to their surprise, Qin Yuran's impeccable performance has led the way in popularity. For talented athletes, the village chief has always taken good care of them. Normally, he would definitely agree with Qin Yuran's act of favoritism, but today he stubbornly shook his head and said, no, according to regulations, the last person cannot accept ingredients from other guests, nor can they use their own money for consumption, let alone borrow money. The village chief mercilessly blocked the road, with a hint of amusement in his eyes. Upon seeing this, Qin Yuran helplessly spread out his hand and said to Yan Yueqing with guilt, I'm sorry Yueqing. I tried my best, but I couldn't help you. Yan Yueqing nodded and looked at Tang Tang. The little girl was so angry that her mouth pouted and her eyes were wet, as if she was feeling sad about not having dinner. How cultured. I'm so angry that I haven't gotten angry with myself yet. It can be seen how painful the little one was tormented by the original owner before. As compensation, Yan Yueqing comfortingly patted her shoulder and said, don't worry, let's have a big dinner tonight. Ah! Tang was surprised. The other guests were also stunned by Yan Yueqing's sudden confidence. The village chief saw the situation and quickly came up to remind, monthly clearance, according to regulations. Yan Yueqing calmly interrupted, I know I can't accept others' help and rely on my own strength to go down the mountain for dinner. Looking at her indifferent expression, the village chief's small head spun rapidly as he quickly recalled what additional conditions he had not mentioned. Yan Yueqing didn't give him time to think and said to Tang, let's go. The mountain climbing mission is set on the Yan Mountain in T-City. Although it is not a weekend or a famous mountain, there are still quite a few people coming here to play. Yan Yueqing selected a middle-aged lady holding a scarf to take a photo and said, Tang, what do you think of that aunt? Tang blinked in confusion. You're quite kind. Just be kind, Yan Yueqing smiled and asked the staff to take care of Tang before walking up on her own. Hello, sister. She spoke very politely. Auntie put down her scarf and bloomed with a smile on her face. What sister, little girl, you have to call me auntie. Auntie. I can't tell at all. Yan Yueqing was extremely surprised. Auntie was even happier and said, Big sister, what can I do for you? Yan Yueqing pointed to Tang and then pointed to the illuminated phone camera behind him. Sister, we are recording a program, and today we finished last in the task. The little one didn't have dinner, so I want to exchange my talent for some money. The staff are listening foolishly. Is there still such an operation? Ha ha ha, I'm laughing to death. The village chief should be confused, right? He doesn't want to accept the help of guests, so he directly seeks out tourists. Ha ha ha, no wonder Yan Yueqing just walked so fast. I'm afraid the village chief will react, right? To be honest, even if it was the last one in the previous task, there would still be some food. Today, I changed the rules directly. How did I smell the targeted flavor? After listening to Yan Yueqing's words, Auntie looked at the camera and felt a little awakened. Originally, it was for money. Isn't it a new type of scam? Don't think she doesn't know. A while ago, the daughter-in-law of the Lao Lu family was approached and fooled away with 200,000 yuan when she went out. The old couple is still arguing for a divorce. Auntie cautiously probed, how much do you want? Yan Yueqing said decisively, 5 pieces. Auntie suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, thinking it would cost 50.5 million. The result is only 5 yuan. Suddenly burst out laughing and said, that's a great relationship. The live broadcast room burst into laughter. Have you seen the look in my aunt's eyes just now, the feeling of, you can't lie to me. I'm already holding onto my wallet and running away. Auntie. Are you trying to deceive me? Take out my Italian noodles and taste them. 5 yuan is really a reasonable price. I'm willing to spend this 5 yuan to see what Yan Yueqing is performing, indeed. After she finishes her performance, I'll throw 5 yuan in her face and keep her away from me, Princess Tang 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 Tang. Ha ha ha, there's a scene upstairs. While everyone was frantically scrolling through bullet comments, Yan Yueqing had already discussed with her aunt to perform singing. She chose a song from the 1980s called, Don't Come at Dawn, which is an interlude from the old movie, Chien Nu, and a Cantonese song. After Yan Yueqing debuted, she was arranged by the company to participate in various paddling variety shows. Not only did she not join the crew, but she also had unpleasant character designs in reality shows. What kind of singing, acting, and the label that other artists always have, has never been reflected in her. Nowadays, when she says she wants to sing, everyone in the live broadcast room is waiting to see her joke. Yan Yueqing stared at the sunset from a distance and slowly spoke up. Dawn, please don't come, just let the dream exist forever tonight. As soon as I opened my throat, the barrage stopped for 5 seconds. The cold sound drifted through the air, adding a layer of ethereal flavor. Following it, a sad and tearful love story unfolds slowly, and Nie Xiaoqian's complex emotions towards Ning Kaichen, which are both touching and melancholic, are displayed on multiple levels. Isn't that great? Is this Yan Yueqing? Wanduzi, I have actually changed my view of her. Is it because the live broadcast room has opened a sound card? I don't believe it. She sings so beautifully, why not participate in a good voice? Damn it, my brother is studying music. I can't help it. It's amazing. Holding you in the pitch black, don't let the morning glow leak in. At the end of the song, Yan Yueqing withdrew her throat and her expression remained indifferent, as if the person who had just sung was not herself. Sister, what do you think? Is it worth 5 yuan? Auntie was wandering in the sky, as if she had seen the beautiful time between herself and her first love in her youth. Once again, half a year has passed since I came to my senses. She raised her hand and pretended to have a cold, sniffing and saying, it sounds great. Big girl, are you a singer? My daughter also studies music and doesn't sing as well as you do. Yan Yueqing politely replied, I'm not a singer yet. Auntie was very excited and said, so you're the kind. My daughter said, what's your name? A talented athlete. That's amazing. This is not just 5 yuan. I'll give you 500 yuan, buy more delicious food with the kids. Sign my name again. Your voice will definitely become popular in the future. 500 yuan. And this good thing. Just as Yan Yueqing was about to speak, the village chief appeared from somewhere and said, Yueqing, you had already agreed to pay 5 yuan. Tang Tang ran up to the village chief's obstruction and said, Uncle Village Chief, it was Auntie who wanted to give us 500 yuan, not our initiative. Auntie nodded repeatedly and said, yes, yes, I took the initiative to give it. The village chief waved his hand and said fairly, Auntie, we are recording a program, and Yueqing is taking the children with her. Do you think that she promised you 5 yuan, but in the end she charged you 500 yuan? Will this behavior have a negative impact on the children? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Suddenly discovering a treasure girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Suddenly discovering a treasure girl, I'll go, the village chief's mouth is really deceiving. Ha ha ha, look at Tang Tang's expression, as if saying. Village chief, do you want to hear what you're talking about? Hong Kong, I feel like the village chief is targeting Yan Yueqing a bit. Previously, Li Manman's team was fined for picking mangoes over time, so she directly took out 6,000 yuan and asked the entire park's employees to help. At that time, netizens praised Li Manman for being clever and finding loopholes in the program team. Now it's Yan Yueqing's turn, but instead. Why blame the village chief? My family's man is smart and can detect loopholes. Yan Yueqing is different. She promised to pay 5 yuan but received 500 yuan herself. Isn't this untrustworthy? The village chief adheres to the parenting philosophy and doesn't bring bad Tang candy. What's wrong? During the intense barrage discussion, Yan Yueqing had already politely rejected the aunt, citing the same reason as the village chief, not to harm the children. In the end, Auntie could only tearfully give her 5 yuan and said, how about this, big girl? Can you sing me another song for 5 yuan each? The village chief continued to obstruct, Auntie, we have regulations that only one tourist can perform. The bullshit regulations are clearly new regulations for her. Yan Yueqing said goodbye helplessly, it's okay, sister. If you want to listen, when I perform for the next tourist, just stand by and listen. The village chief interjected, well, Yueqing, according to the program regulations. A talent can only be performed once. Bullet chat. Still saying it's not targeted. Does this directly block Yan Yueqing's road? Why is the village chief saying the regulations now, not in advance, but until the guests speak up, blocking them one by one? Farewell to aunt, Yan Yueqing pulled Tang and continued to look for the next tourist. She locked in a middle-aged uncle who was full of Tianjin dialect and had a cheerful personality. Go forward to say hello politely. After giving the reason, Yan Yueqing asked, can I use a Tianjin Kuaiban for 5 yuan? The other party agreed, and she patted with both hands and said lightly, with such a dozen bamboo boards, let's not praise anything else. Praise it, the scenery on Yan Mountain is picturesque. Unlike her cold and distant appearance just now, Yan Yueqing seemed to have changed her personality, full of vitality and enthusiasm. The light beats and catchy phrases instantly depict the beautiful scenery of Yanshan. The barrage of bullets echoed. I am from T-City. I have been to Yanshan 1,000 or 800 times, only a small steamed bun. However, when Yan Yueqing described it, it turned out to be similar to a famous historical site. At Director of T Municipal Bureau of Culture and Tourism, come here quickly, someone is taking your job here. 666 I was originally a loyal fan of Tang and fought alongside the little princess, but now I'm a bit rebellious. Tianjin people say she's good at playing fast board. That's it, treasure girl, Yan Yueqing, how many surprises do you have that I don't know? Don't be fooled by her, Yan Yueqing is so good at pretending. Did you forget that this is a cute baby variety show? It's almost becoming her personal show now. Strangely, Yan Yueqing didn't have time to watch the bullet screen, but he seemed to know what netizens roast about. When he selected the next tourist, he took Tang and performed a magic show together. Now even Tang Tang is jumping with joy. The most eye-catching aspect of cute children's variety shows is taking them on tasks. During the downhill time after this task, most guests would choose to take a nap in the car. Although some guests may take the time to chat with fans to increase stickiness, overall, they are not as enthusiastic as when doing tasks. Who knew? Now Yan Yueqing's actions have directly attracted countless netizens. Many people in the live broadcast rooms of other guests were called over with friendly calls. Don't look at Qin Yuran and Li Hao chatting anymore, come and watch Yan Yueqing play fast-paced. Sister Yuran, I'll come back and support you later. I'll go see Yan Yueqing perform magic first. I heard that Yan Yueqing is playing chess with the master. Does she still know how to play this? I don't believe it, I'm going to expose her. Don't be afraid, Yan Yueqing is just trying to impress others. I'll go over and scold her. In this way, the number of people in other live broadcast rooms is decreasing, but on the contrary, Yan Yueqing is not as lively here. After playing chess and tying balloons, Yan Yueqing has already earned 25 yuan. Tang Tang also went from being bored and contemptuous at the beginning to having fun afterwards. Children love powerful people or things. Previously, Yan Yueqing clung to her like a piece of candy, but now she suddenly transforms and possesses various skills that can even make her happy. The most important thing. She is good to herself, not to get close to her father. The barrage was a joyful scene. Only the world with the village chief's black face has been achieved difficult. It's too difficult. As a program host, he not only needs to control the program process and balance the relationships between each group, but more importantly, he applies the commands from the stage to the guests. For example, when the audience initially wanted to praise Li Man, how would he showcase the other person's strengths? Later on, when Qin Yuran emerged as a dark horse, how could he calmly show more shots to Qin Yuran? These are all within his scope of responsibility. Today, Yan Yueqing jumped out to grab the heat. The leader in the station immediately ordered to suppress her. The village chief wants to cry without tears. How can I press it? I have tried my best to suppress it, but Yan Yueqing has so many talents. He blocks a road, people drive a road. It's not as congested as she's driving fast. Even netizens who don't like Yan Yueqing have realized that they are targeting her. The village chief is so angry that he wants to throw wheat. How about discussing with Tyli and asking Yan Yueqing to refund the staffing fee? Let her also participate in this competition as a national parent. The conversation is divided into two parts. Yan Yueqing has already earned 30 yuan on his end, and Danmu has also begun to study the change in Tang Tang's attitude. Have you noticed that Tang has changed her name from Aunt Yueqing to the annoying ghost, and now she has changed to Sister Yueqing? The little princess is still clever. I call you sister, and you are my classmate. You can't think of my dad anymore. After watching it all night, what should I do if I really like Yan Yueqing? Isn't it true, isn't it? She performed some little tricks to coax the children, and you guys rebelled. Right. You have to hold your ground. This kind of woman with illegitimate children has a deep mind. She used her own son to lower Tang's guard, but in fact, she didn't go straight for Tang Dao. Some netizens speak too harshly. Yan Yueqing only publicly announced that she has a child. How did she become an illegitimate child? What if someone else had a husband? Is there a husband who still licks Tang candy? I think he wants to find the spider. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Qin Yuran comes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Qin Yuran comes. In the lively discussion among everyone, Yan Yueqing had already walked to the foot of the mountain with Tang. After seeing the village chief's expression almost uncontrollable, she earned 30 yuan and stopped performing with tourists. Instead, she knocked on the door of a farmer. Rural vegetables are generally cheaper, and the vegetables grown by farmers themselves are even cheaper. This household's parents are all honest people. Yan Yueqing used 30 yuan to exchange a lot of fresh vegetables for food, as well as a few crucian carp that the master himself caught. The house they drew was the worst of this period, with only essential daily necessities and no cooking seasoning. Tang Tang followed the original owner to eat congee for a day or two. He looks a little pathetic. After some thought, Yan Yueqing decided to discuss with her aunt and use their stove to make a big pot of rice. It's rare for so many people to come to my home, and my aunt nodded happily. Clean the crucian carp, heat up the rapeseed oil, add ginger slices and fish to the pan, fry on both sides until yellow, add mountain spring water to cook until the soup bottom turns white, then cut a few pieces of tofu and bring to a boil. Slice the tender bamboo shoots and soak them in water. Stir-fry them in a pot until fragrant. Simple seasoning stir in the pot, emitting an extremely tempting aroma. The newly picked Chinese tune sprouts are a seasonal delicacy. After washing and chopping them into small pieces, they are stir-fried with tender yellow eggs, and the fragrant group of staff members groan in their stomachs. The audience in the live broadcast room began to howl. Is Yan Yueqing so awesome? She cuts vegetables while cooking. Is the connection so tight? Is she a master of time management? Damn it, she can cook and let Tang Tang have congee for 2 days. It's hard for a skillful woman to make bricks without straw. Except for a pot, all the ingredients and seasonings in the house they have drawn depend on the task to change. If they haven't changed, they can only cook congee. Tofu and crucian carp soup, stir-fried bamboo shoots, scrambled egg with Chinese tune sprouts, cold mixed 3 shreds, braised cauliflower. Oh my God, how did she make such a big table of dishes? Why did you lean up on the camera? My mouth is about to drool. It looks delicious. Tang Tang's expression won't deceive people at this moment. A starving man ordered his mate one take out. The farmer's vegetable bowl is very large, and a few dishes are served on the table. The wooden barrel rice steamed in another pot is also cooked. Yan Yueqing tidied up the stove and said, Tang Tang, go call your grandparents, uncles and aunts to come over for dinner. Upon hearing this, all the staff were stunned. They were already hungry, but they had to wait until the live broadcast ended before they could remove their devices and go eat boxed meals. God knows how torturous it was to shoot Yan Yueqing cooking. Just like looking at the tip of the tongue while hungry. Now, Yan Yueqing invites them to dinner together. Girl, what are you doing? It's so fragrant. The aunt walked over and warmly welcomed the staff. You kids come quickly, it's already dark. Tang Tang walked up to the village chief and said, Uncle, come and have dinner with us. A coquettish voice sounds soft and cute. The village chief is in extreme difficulty. He really wants to eat. But his current task is to stop Yan Yueqing from grabbing popularity. It took so much effort to block the entire way from the mountaintop to the bottom, but instead of decreasing, the popularity of the live broadcast room increased. I'll come up and have a meal myself, isn't it just a show to support her? How do I explain QAQ to the leaders in the station? Ran goose people are iron, rice is steel, this rice smells really fragrant. The village chief had a stern face and just as he was about to refuse, he looked up to see Yan Yueqing serving the last dish of garlic sprouts fried with preserved meat. Green garlic sprouts, paired with thin cured meat like cicada wings, each piece emits an extremely beautiful aroma. Gollum. My stomach rang twice in frustration. The village chief hesitated and raised his hand to greet several staff members. Let's eat first. You can communicate with your leaders about things in Taiwan, the big deal is losing your job. He doesn't want to be in a wheelchair at the age of 80, and his descendants ask him if he has anything to worry about. He trembled and said, I didn't eat the meal made by Yan Yueqing back then. Finally, when the village chief nodded, the staff quickly put down their equipment and rushed up like a 100-meter sprint to pick up bowls and chopsticks. The cured meat slices are very thin and melt in the mouth. The Chinese tune is stir-fried until tender and tender, paired with eggs. It almost bites the tongue when taken in one bite. Bamboo shoots are crispy and refreshing, cauliflower is soft and sticky, and then a mouthful of rich and mellow cushion carp soup. Everyone eats it with a fairy-like flavor. While eating, there was a knock on the door outside. Yan Yueqing opened the door and found that Qin Yuran had brought Li Hao. Yueqing, I discussed with Hao Hao, and the village chief said they couldn't share ingredients, but he didn't say they couldn't share dinner, so. She carried a basket and caught a glimpse of the bustling scene in the courtyard, her words abruptly coming to an end. Yan Yueqing smiled and said, "Thank you, please come in." Qin Yuran entered the room with a surprised expression on his face. Just now while cooking, she heard the staff muttering that Yan Yueqing's live broadcast room had skyrocketed in popularity, higher than all the other guests combined. Qin Yuran was extremely surprised. According to past life memories, Yan Yueqing fell unconscious and seduced Tang Dao in the hospital, while inviting Tang, who was left alone, to dinner in the group. Only when there is a strong contrast between the two can fans turn the balance in their hearts towards themselves. It can be said that tonight is my comeback point. Why has everything changed now? As Qin Yuran entered, the barrage in the live broadcast room became lively again. Miss Yuran is really beautiful and kind-hearted. They don't have a high ranking in this group and only get eggplant and corn as ingredients. But look at the basket, Miss Yuran has brought all the food, people are quite good, but compared to others, it's a bit shabby huh? Yuran followed the routine, while Yan Yueqing went from nothing to something, standing tall and standing tall. Praising Yan Yueqing, why bring my home to relax? It's not appropriate to hold and step on it, is it? Qin Yuran is not as skilled as Yan Yueqing, that's a fact. No matter how loud the barrage is, the people in the courtyard are quite friendly to Qin Yuran. Especially after seeing her come, the village chief's mood relaxed a lot. Ty Lee has not yet decided whether this episode is about promoting Li Man or Qin Yuran. But no matter who it is, it's better than Yan Yueqing's family being dominant. Qin Yuran placed the food he brought on the table, and out of courtesy, everyone tasted everything. The next second, chopsticks coincidentally went to pick up the dishes made by Yan Yueqing. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. This is not quite in line with the plot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. This is not quite in line with the plot. Qin Yuran picked up a bamboo shoot and put it in his mouth, and the sweet and delicious taste immediately filled his entire mouth. The more delicious the food is, the more frightened she becomes. Looking at Yan Yueqing, who was dignified and atmospheric in front of her, and the submissive actress in my memory. It seems like they are not the same person. She stabilized her mind and deliberately praised, Yueqing's craftsmanship is really good, isn't it hard to practice on a regular basis? Yan Yueqing was helping Tang pick fish bones when she heard this and smiled, it's okay. We have a picky son at home who doesn't make delicious dishes. The little one doesn't even want to open his mouth. A tone full of indulgence. Qin Yuran was shocked and said, have you made it public? In her past life, Yan Yueqing was afraid that others would know that she had a son, but now she is openly disclosing it. What's wrong with Sister Yuran? She looks strange tonight. Yeah, the first reaction of a normal person is. Do you have a son? But the leisurely reaction is. Did you make it public? What does this mean? It means that Yan Yueqing has a son, which is an open secret in the circle. It should be said or not, when Yan Yueqing mentioned her son, her expression was so spoiled. +1, looks so proud. If my mom could have this proud expression when she mentioned me, I could have laughed for 2 years. Yan Yueqing was also surprised by Qin Yuran's reaction. Is it difficult? Everyone knows she has a son. Suddenly, a cold sweat broke out from the back. Just say it, there's no secret in the entertainment industry. The original owner thought he hid his son well, but in fact, everyone knows. Fortunately, it was made public in advance, otherwise she nodded naturally and said, "Yes, my son is so cute, why should he hide it?" The smile on Qin Yuran's lips had a provocative taste in his eyes. Not good. The plot is getting more and more skewed. What is Yan Yueqing's reaction? Mother and son have a deep affection. If there was really a deep love between mother and son, how could she have jumped into the sea and committed suicide in her previous life due to this incident being exposed? More importantly, if she doesn't die, how should I honestly and obediently adopt Yan Wan? Qin Yuran tried hard to get the plot back on track. Yueqing, I heard you fell off a tree today. Do you want to go to the hospital to see? Yan Yu waved her hand cleanly and said, no need. Qin Yuran kindly said, why don't you go to the hospital and take a look? I heard that some people may appear fine on the surface after falling, but their mental state is abnormally excited. Most of these are due to internal bleeding. Tang Tang shook his chopsticks in fear and said, Sister Yueqing, should we go to the hospital? I really don't need it, just a little bit of flesh and skin injury. Skin and flesh injury. I heard you fainted for several minutes after falling. Qin Yuran continued to advise, the nearest hospital to here is the city hospital, which is the third-tier hospital where director Tang recently filmed a TV drama. A larger hospital should always be more reassuring. Qin Yuran has some tea. The city hospital is just the city hospital, why not name it as Tang Dao's hospital? Afraid Yan Yueqing won't pounce. Perhaps it is Yan Yueqing Sima Zhao's heart, which everyone knows. I think leisurely is quite good. It's so kind to keep urging Yan Yueqing to see a doctor. Did the barrage of comments make me think too much? Tang Tang's little princess's face turned green. Ha ha ha, she finally let go of this mess and was picked up again. There was a cool gaze behind her, and Yan Yueqing knew it was Tang Tang's resentful gaze without turning her head. She spoke with a righteous tone, don't worry, you call me sister, and I call your father uncle. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. How to spend 10 million. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. How to spend 10 million. A barrage of bullets suddenly burst out. Nyo nyo nyo. It still needs to be my Yen sister. One sentence interrupted Tang's concerns. I regard you as a sister's, but you can't treat me as a stepmother. Is she really not interested in Tang Dao now, or is she just playing hard to get? I'm so afraid Princess Tang will be deceived. Yeah, he said he didn't care. If he rushes up to seduce Tang Dao, I'm afraid the little princess won't even have room to cry. I'm waiting for the party, I don't comment, my opinion is to wait and see. Tang's beautiful big eyes blinked with a sudden realization. That's right. There is a generational gap between Sister Yueqing and her father. Tang, who was in a great mood, added another bowl of fish soup and tasted even sweeter. Qin Yuran saw that the situation was not right and really wanted to say something to remedy it. Every time I was about to speak, I was always interrupted by Tang's words. 2 or 3 times later, she understood. Tang is complaining about which pot she doesn't open and which pot she picks up. She's holding a grudge still live streaming. Qin Yuran didn't perform well too clearly. After finishing his meal, he found an excuse to take Li Hao away. Late at night. Tang worked on a task for a whole day and was already exhausted. After washing up, he lay down on the bed and tightly hugged the rabbit toy he brought out from home. Seeing Yan Yueqing still packing her things, she suddenly asked, Sister Yueqing, do you want to see my dad? She seemed to think it was inappropriate to ask, so she changed her tone and said, actually, Aunt Yuran was right. You fell, my dad should come and see you. Yan Yueqing looked at her deceitful words and promised, Tang, I didn't tell you the truth before, which led to a misunderstanding. Now I promise you, I don't even have the intention of being your stepmother. Tang Tang's eyes lit up and he said, really? The corners of the lips kept rising uncontrollably. System prompt. Tang Tang's favorability rate +5. Current favorability point 15. Upon hearing the system prompt, Yan Yueqing couldn't help but sigh. Nowadays, children are really precocious. What they care about is not just food, drink, and play, but also gossip and emotions. Where is she like? She only thinks about one thing. Spending money. This is her main mission. How can one reasonably spend 10 million yuan on Tang 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 within a week? It's simply a big problem. Look at other divine luxury systems, they either spend money on boys or girls, buying a house, a car, or a luxury item, and the money flows out like water. Make more financial investments and you'll soon make a fortune. But her system is spending money for children. Stock investment. I can't even open a household without reaching 18. Luxury jewelry. She suspected that as soon as she was sent out, Tang Dao would retreat back. There's no way. The system is not bound to my own child. It's too difficult to persuade parents to agree and to use money on their children reasonably and legally. After thinking for a while, Yan Yueqing simply took out her phone, clicked on a certain app, and posted, "How can I spend money on children who are not very familiar with me?" The amount is probably over a few million. Perhaps this title is too eye-catching, with comments flooding in instantly. Hello, my mother whom I have never met before. I am your unfamiliar child. I don't want a few million, just buy me the latest iPad. Does the landlord want to kidnap and sell children? Spend millions to gain popularity. There should be millions who wouldn't be trafficking children, right? I'm not sure, let me take a look. Not very familiar. Does that mean how familiar is it? Do you think I'm familiar with it? Damn it, is showing off wealth already so outrageous now? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Posts are popular. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Posts are popular. The post was very lively. At first it was just a poor-mouthed netizen shouting that the landlord should spend the money on themselves. But later, a netizen named Quiet Little Prince suddenly replied on a new floor, on how to invest in minors. The following is a brief and concise list of how to spend money on minors, spanning nearly 1,000 words. Funds, equity, auctions, etc. This Quiet Little Prince has a sophisticated perspective and even offers a reasonable tax avoidance operation. More people are following the post. Big Shot 6666. This is very criminal. It's very criminal. This TM Quiet Little Prince, isn't he the top elite in the accounting profession? As you may know, there are no top elites in the accounting profession. Why? Because in the company, I can't even figure out the real accounts, and even the more impressive ones have career positions. Hahaha, there's no need to say that having a good meal is so fresh and refined. Dare to ask the Quiet Little Prince, how old is the year? Where is the high school? Will you accept apprentices? I thought the other person had a cold personality and wouldn't answer any questions, but to my surprise, he replied to the last post. 5 years old, free, not accepted. The floor exploded directly. 5 years old. Did the Big Shot write a missing number before 5? We're starting to create the character of a top 5-year-old hacker that is only found in novels about domineering CEOs. So the real purpose of this post is not to show off wealth, but to hype up this Quiet Little Prince. I don't believe he's really 5 years old, he's laughing to death. Whoever believes him is foolish. In the ward, a weak boy sat quietly holding a tablet. My eyes were shrouded in mist, casting a layer of cold. Her small face was tense, with no visible emotional fluctuations. The cold light on the screen reflected on his breathing tube, like a deadly sickle. Perhaps due to illness, his exquisitely delicate facial features presented a fragmented beauty. Like extremely thin white porcelain, with just a little force, it will be crushed by pinching. Outside the door, a man leaned against the wall holding his phone and anxiously pulled off his bow tie, saying, "Brother Wei, I am the heir of the Yan family. For me, hundreds of thousands are just a drizzle. Young Master Yan, when you borrowed money from me back then, I didn't even blink my eyes and gave you 500,000 yuan. Now that you're repaying the money, you're actually claiming your identity. Hee, if your old man knows that you owe tens of millions of gambling debts outside, maybe the position of the Yan family's successor will have to be changed again." "Wei Gu, I didn't mean that. I raised my identity to say that I really have money. It's just that the project I'm currently working on is being closely monitored by the old man. Wait a few more days for me. Hee, I have already extended an extra 2 weeks grace. According to the interest, you owe me a total of 800,000 yuan now. If you wait any longer, I'm afraid young Master Yan can't afford it." It was the first time Yan Kong had heard someone say the 3 words, usury, in such a righteous manner, and his heart was filled with hatred. However, with the IOU in someone else's hands and evidence of gambling, even if Yan Kong was angry, he had to obediently become a grandson and say, "Wei Gu, give me a few more days. My cousin, Yan Yueqing, do you know that? Don't you like her? I brought her over and let Wei Gu." "Pooh." Wei Gu sternly retorted him on the phone. Miss Yan Er, who used to be pure and innocent, was indeed lovable, but she willingly humbled herself, gave birth to a child, and entered the entertainment industry. I don't know how many people have slept with her. She's worth 800,000 yuan just because of her. Yan Kong became anxious and said, "She made a lot of money as a celebrity. I brought her over, Wei Gu. Please take some private photos of her. In the future, how much will she have?" Wei Gu was disgusted by him and said, "You think I'm XXX? Are you still taking photos to blackmail people? Yan Kong, don't talk to me about this. I don't care what method you use, within 3 days, you can get 800,000 yuan, not a penny less. If you can't get everything together, I'll ask your old man for it." After speaking, he hung up the phone fiercely. Upon hearing the busy beep from the other side, Yan Kong slammed his phone and forcefully pushed the door in. The little boy on the bed didn't even lift his head, his indifferent eyes seemed to be unable to see the angry person coming, calm and terrifying. Just a little unnoticed at the fingertips quickly switched back to the page. Yan Kong saw that Yan Wan was still watching children's short videos, and his anger surged in his chest. "Little bastard, I don't even have the money anymore. You still have the conditions to stay in TM's VIP ward." He looked around the equipment and said, "The old man is really biased. He's just a bastard, spending so much money to save your life. If you ask me, after raising him for 5 years, he's still a mute who can't speak, so he should be thrown directly into the welfare home." Yan Wan looked up and stared at him expressionlessly. His eyes were empty, as if he couldn't understand what Uncle Tang was saying. Yan Kong said with a ferocious expression, "Your mother is just a lowly person. When you left the Lin family alone and didn't get married, you went out and got pregnant, causing the 2 families to get married and not turn into enemies. Lin Qiming, that kid, was against me at the casino, causing me to lose again and again. If it weren't for you and your mother, I would have ended up like this today. There's no need to be so obscene and low-handed to Wei Gu. He speaks very harshly and doesn't care about Yan Wan's feelings at all. This little nephew has been either receiving intravenous fluids in the hospital bed or watching children's dramas in the hospital bed since birth. He can't even speak, let alone file a complaint. What waves can a mute flip?" Yan Kong, in front of him, never concealed his true self. "The old man is too biased. Your mother left you in the hospital, and he comes over regularly to pay the hospitalization fees. And when I lost a little money, he wished he could kick me out. Just because I am the adoptive, is she biological? Unfortunately, the old man made a mistake. You are a mute and have some mental problems. It's not bad if you can barely survive until the age of 10, but can you still support the Yan family's business? Yan Kong cursed the little nephew in front of him for not living long, cursing for several minutes until he vented his dissatisfaction before slamming the door and leaving. Yan Wan, with a dull gaze, slowly lifted his head after his cousin left. One eye, clear as water, filled with disgust. The water of the Yan family is very deep. From memory onwards, the old man taught him to pretend to be deaf and mute, making him obediently wait for his mother to come back. But Mom, it's been a long time since I've been here, will she come back again? Yan Wang's slender fingers touched the tablet, his expression slightly stunned. After a moment, click on the search bar on Weibo and enter the 3 words, Yan Yueqing. Before, no matter what reality show she participated in, Yan Wan would always watch it as soon as possible. But this time she participated in a parent-child reality show. In the program, she is someone else's mother silently talking about one's biological son, but being intimate with other children. Yan Wan felt that it was inappropriate, so he deliberately avoided this program from the beginning. Unexpectedly, after entering the name, the first hot search that pops up is actually, Yan Yueqing self-proclaimed having children. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. To nitpick. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. To nitpick. Do Yan Wan think he's mistaken? Staring at the screen for a full minute was enough to confirm that the title was correct. Fingers trembling as I entered, it was a clip of my mother's live broadcast footage. She seemed to have fallen, wrapped in some disheveled soil, but even so, her eyebrows remained gentle as before. I have a son who is a few months older than you and has been unable to leave the hospital due to illness. He also wants to climb trees and pick fruits, but unfortunately he cannot. There was a loud bang in my mind, as if fireworks had exploded, causing the person who collapsed to lose consciousness. Only shocked thoughts remain. The next day. A small village at the foot of Yen Mountain. Today is the final recording of the 4th episode of National Parents. According to convention, the village chief will settle the task points of each group, redeem them proportionally, and let the cute children take the money to buy gifts. Tang Tang and Yan Yueqing, unsurprisingly, had the least points, only exchanging 200 yuan, but they were still more than enough to buy some ordinary gifts. The driver delivered 6 groups of guests to the department store in T-City. To maintain the mystery of the gift, there is no live broadcast when shopping, and the activity is entirely led by guests with cute children. Yan Yueqing, with Tang Tang Tang, looked at Qin Yuran walking at the forefront and suddenly thought to herself. Not having a live broadcast at this stage may not be due to preventing spoilers. Qin Yuran is the female protagonist in the book. In addition to her sweet and lovely appearance, she also has a delicate heart with 7 orifices. Every time I bring my cute child to buy a gift, she always takes advantage of the lack of camera time to buy some gifts at her own expense to give to the staff. The saying goes, eating people with soft mouths and holding people with short hands. When the staff receives a gift, they will try their best to help her achieve a perfect image in the later recording. Later, Li Man also discovered this clever move and followed suit. Afterwards, the crew developed a strange atmosphere. The cute children group buys gifts to give to their friends, while the guest group self-pays to buy things to give to the staff. One by one rolled up to death. Not live streaming, probably because I'm afraid that this phenomenon will make netizens who praised Qin Yuran for being kind and considerate of the staff retaliate, right? This teddy bear is for Xiaozhen, the dragonfly hair clip is for Huan, and Hao's brother's eyeglass frame. Tang 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 was a very planned person, and after a few clicks, he selected the gifts and was checking each one to see if there were any omissions. Yan Yueqing stood quietly on the side, not disturbing the little princess's memory. Some people were afraid of her leisure and sneered, Yueqing, bringing Tang Tang to this affordable store is a bit funny, isn't it? Li Man walked in happily with a little girl in the same group. She was a bit rational, so she let Huan go find Tang to play with before lowering her voice and saying, "If it weren't for you dragging your feet and losing points, Tang would have come to such a place to pick gifts when he was poor." "What's going on here?" "It's pretty good." Li Man sneered, "Choosing gifts for children is pretty good, but what about you? You've been in the fourth phase of the group, and haven't even prepared a gift for the staff." "That's right. You shameless and skinny person, can you expect to understand what kind of human wisdom you have? The tone is so strong that it's going to die." Yan Yueqing raised her eyebrows. Did she encounter a troublemaker? "What do you mean, knowing how to buy gifts means understanding the world?" Li Man gave her a disgusted glance and said, "What's there to talk about with someone like you? With the crew's staffing fee, you can suddenly turn the tide and stir up popularity. Yan Yueqing, do you still have the 3 words professional ethics in your dictionary?" "Establishment fee." Yan Yueqing said calmly, "If you pay, it's called establishment fee. If you don't pay, it's called drawing big cakes." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Since that's the case, start spending money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Since that's the case, start spending money. The original owner negotiated with the production team to receive a staffing fee of 200,000 yuan. But in reality shows, the guest's appearance fee is paid after recording, while the character fee needs to be paid in advance. Especially in situations where the character design is worse and there is no one to take over, the speed of financial payments will be faster, fearing that the other party will back out. Yan Yueqing learned from her memory, isn't this a common rule in the industry? Why hasn't this money been recorded from the first issue to the 4th issue in my account yet? Shouldn't anyone be making a fuss about it? Li Man's face stiffened slightly and he said, "What are you talking nonsense about?" Yan Yueqing sneered and glanced at her. Li Man was an artist who was just signed by Zhongxing last year. She had a close relationship with Yang Dong and became a key target for training as soon as she joined the company. Unfortunately, despite investing a lot of resources, she never became popular. This year, her agent specifically made her appear on this program and even arranged for Yan Yueqing to serve as a backdrop, just to further promote her. But Li Man doesn't know which one is wrong. We must rely on having some say in the company and let the finance department suppress this staffing fee. This matter was done extremely discreetly. But looking at Yan Yueqing's expression, I clearly know everything. Li Man snorted and said, "There is no real evidence, don't talk nonsense." Yan Yueqing, seeing that she didn't admit it, spread her hands and said, "Then I didn't sign a contract with the program team for staffing fees either. The money hasn't arrived, what do you care about me doing on the show? You." Li Man gritted her teeth, "You're just a scoundrel. Do I think any other program team will dare to take you in the future? The production team wouldn't care so much." Yan Yueqing curled her lips and hit the nail on the head. What they want is a popular program with high ratings. There are many children in the market this year, and the competition is very fierce. At this time, the launch of National Parents by Zhongxing is nothing more than an attempt to stabilize the market with old-fashion programs, and promoting newcomers is just a passing act. If you have to say something, when it comes to promoting newcomers and making programs popular, the former must make concessions for the latter. That's also why, at the beginning of the program, Li Man was praised, but in the end, Qin Yuran became popular. There's no way, the dark horse has been killed. The highest ratings. Li Man lowered her eyebrows and said coldly, "Do you mean you also want to get a share of the soup? Who wants me to have a son to raise? I'm short of money." Yan Yu cleared up and said straightforwardly, "I agreed to spend 200,000 yuan as a support, but I've already recorded it in the 4th issue. I haven't seen the money yet, so I can't find a way out for myself." "Stop talking nonsense." Li Man said fiercely, "I'll have the finance department transfer the money to you tonight." "You. No need." Yan Yueqing quickly raised her hand to stop, compared to that 200,000 yuan, I think it's better to make more money by becoming popular. Thank you for making a fool of yourself. Yan Yueqing. Li Man gritted his back teeth, his eyes about to burst into flames. Yan Yueqing smiled and said, "Don't shout so loudly. If you are secretly photographed by passers-by later, it will damage your image. Keep smiling." After a pause, she was infuriated and said, "Also, thank you for your reminder. It seems like I have never prepared a gift for the staff before, so let's go buy it." After speaking, he avoided Li Man's almost green expression and greeted, Tang, have you chosen it? Let's go. Tang replied, okay. After packing the things, Tang saw Yan Yueqing's almost uncontrollable smile and curiously asked, "Sister Yueqing, what's so happy about? Can you be unhappy?" Li Man's words reminded her. Finally found a suitable opportunity to spend money. Yan Yueqing said mysteriously, Tang, let's go buy some gifts for our working uncles and aunties, okay? Okay. Upon receiving the little one's reply, Yan Yueqing pulled her into the luxurious area on the 6th floor. End of this chapter.